Hello everyone. Thank you to all the subscribers and new YouTube members. If you haven't yet subscribed, it is much appreciated if you do so. And all your comments and questions are also appreciated. So today I would like to talk about spiritual path. Everyone wants to step on the spiritual path. Everyone is looking for authentic teachings. Everyone is looking for authentic teachers. And yet there are many criteria that we miss out on, or maybe are not aware of, or don't have reference points of, which are actually essential. How do we manifest this spiritual path? First of all, we have to be that frequency that allows us to connect and recognize the true authentic teaching and tell the falsehood from the authenticity. If we still pursue falsehood within ourselves, if we still pursue something very superficial within ourselves, within our lives, our spirituality will look alike, will look very much superficial. Everyone wants to be a part of something, to hold on to something, and that desire alone leads us actually astray, away from the possibility to find a real spiritual path. So today I would like to name main qualities that, or the signs that you are actually on a true spiritual path. And one of the most important points is consistency, because everyone can step on a certain spiritual path. Most of the people, however, are shoppers. They jump from one teaching to the other, they look for a next high, because we're living in a place which is plagued with all kinds of teachings and teachers and possibilities, and most of the people without any reference point, and again, reference point is from within, the soul frequency, get lost because they get into a spiritual supermarket and get carried away. Everything seems to be fancy, looking fancy, intriguing, amazing, exciting. And yet the reality is that most of these paths are traps or dead ends. And in order to really not only step on the true spiritual path, we need to realize what we're looking for. And what we're looking for is far beyond our imagination or something that we look to validate ourselves through. And so this is authenticity. And how do you describe authenticity? It is not something to be described or conditionally presented. It is the flow from within that allows you to know that you are on the right path. It is the flow of true authentic expression, honesty, humility, intelligence, where you clearly see that you're stepping in the spiritual path, not for the sake of self-validation, not for the sake of being approved or disapproved, but for the sake of freeing yourself from all that which is limited, which is false, which is distorted, which is superficial. And again, getting rid of it doesn't mean that you have to dismantle your life from the outside. On the contrary, it has to come from within. So disillusionment, self-refinement happens from within through frequency. When you get triggered and you're able to face these triggers with dignity, with courage, instead of pointing the fingers outwards, you're able to work with your emotions and reactions and triggers without blaming others. Only then you're able to actually learn and progress. Otherwise, you're still in that sort of a limited narrative where spirituality is just another tool, another toy, another way out from your actual issues and imbalances. Spirituality exists today for the sake of balance. If we were in a different cycle, era, we would have, especially I'm talking about the cycle of a high frequency existence, there wouldn't be any spiritual teacher or teachings. Well, maybe there would be some kind of guides, but there wouldn't be anything organized. dogmatized, philosophized. All of that is a reflection of our corruption, of our degradation. And so the natural spirituality is veiled by all these internal desires to hold on to something, to be seen through the reflection, seen through something. I'm progressing because I'm practicing this and that. We practice when we are beginners. Masters live life in a very simple way, without seeking validation, but still progressing through their humility, through their ability to look at themselves from the standpoint of a high awareness and continue refining themselves. When you are the beginner, you want to be validated, you want to be given that mystery, that something that will give you a sense of life, yet to only be disappointed with time, seeing that nothing actually has any sense unless you give it. And when you stop projecting yourselves and trying to empower yourselves through the projection, you actually step on a real spiritual path and acquire a real spiritual teacher, which is not in the role of validator or that sort of a shepherd, but more as an invisible pillar, like an antenna, a frequency generator that connects you, reminds you of who you are in the moments of darkness and the moments of being veiled, being confronted with certain fears, certain insecurities, certain negative experiences. And these negative experiences are even considered as negative experiences because these are emotions and feeling-based perceptions that you have towards the reality. The reality itself is always neutral. The most important point is consistency. If you're not able to remain consistent in your pursuit, if you're not able to be patient, consistent, persevere, and remain on the path of self-refinement, you'll be jumping, you'll be seeking and shopping on and on and on until you'll arrive to a dead end where you'll realize that your own obsessions, your own internal imbalances led you, or better said, misled you spiritually. To embrace a spiritual path is to embrace routine-like existence and welcome all kinds of circumstances through life without forgetting who you are ultimately. And who you are ultimately is that high awareness. And the teacher's role, the true teacher's role, not the false teacher's role, is to remind through the connection, to remind through the presence, to remind through being an example. And to be an example is something that cannot be copied. To be an example is something that cannot be artificially created, because to be an example means to be that emanation through the words, without words, in silence. And in order to recognize that level of teaching, one is to be able to perceive that essence within themselves in silence. Because the majority of people are chatterboxes, and this chatterbox doesn't mean that you're speaking too much. It means you are overthinking. You are ungrounded. You are searching for another kick because you simply forgot how to root yourselves in this reality, in this body. Because very often you deny the body, you deny emotions because someone told you to, because all these trap-like teachings that have been propagated for the past 7,000 years have been deeply rooted, not only in our, or in some of our souls, but also through our bloodlines, through our ancestry lines, through our spiritual heritage. And unfortunately, if we want to really recognize true spiritual path, we need to let them go. To let them go doesn't mean to deny them or to hold on to them, to believe or disbelieve. It means to simply know that everything has its existence, its niche. But spiritual path is a path is path. And it's not just a word, it is an existence without holding onto anything that is transitory, limited, false, etc. How is it to be without validation? How is it to be taught a lesson without a word? By emotionally triggering that falsehood outward. We all want to overcome death, but we forget that we are to face it. We're to face everything that puts us through these moments of loss within us. It's a perception. And if we don't have that strength and courage, perseverance and consistency to go on, how can we even know of higher reality while being in the body? Beyond the body, we all are free. As souls, if we are souls, living souls, we're free. The purpose is integration. The purpose is alignment. The purpose is balance. Can you remain balanced even while being in an imbalanced environment? Going through a cycle of imbalance? Being in the dimension realm of extremes and imbalances and distortions? That's what defines one's mastery, one's spiritual might, the power. The power is not in abilities to walk through the walls or float in the air. The power is in consistency and perseverance. This cycle, this time, this dimension is rooted at the very focal point, which is time itself. Time meaning existence within a limitation. And if you want to embrace true spirituality, you have to learn to face time and to face the transitory. And what is the transitory? Which is limited in time, which is subjected to the end, energetic end. And when it's subjected to the energetic end, it means it's something that is of binding nature. It's something that keeps us in the state of codependence and that drains us. Because in reality, there is only life with a capital L. And to ascend, to truly awaken, means to awaken to that which is life from the capital L, and to pursue it within oneself, courageously, consistently, and with perseverance, meaning accepting things, learning through different planetary cycles, different triggers, different circumstances, different even contracts. Sometimes these are contracts with negative elements within this dual reality, dual in terms of positive and negative forces, the forces of division, fragmentation, and the forces of unification and alignment. So from the highest standpoint, and at this point of time, it's very difficult to really realize what the spiritual path is unless you have that frequency within your own soul, even to a small percentage. But even if you have it to a smaller degree, you still will be able to recognize it and connect to it. Yet the connection doesn't guarantee anything. Perseverance and consistency is that which matters. And if you're consistent and perseverant, and you are able to walk through whatever triggers, even if these are the triggers of your teacher or circumstances or people or life in general, you can name yourself as a student of life only when you stop blaming life and everything outside of it, outside of you, even if it seems to be someone great, someone you trust, someone you love. You are able to realize that all you are to work with is internal emotions, internal feelings, perception, in other words. When you realize that, you have a chance not only to step on a spiritual path, but also to walk it. And this possibility is for very, very few beings, despite the fact that we have the entire world supposedly on a spiritual path or some type of a path, or the path of faith. The real faith is, or starts from surrender. Surrender to life from the capital L. But how can you surrender to something you haven't awakened to? And this is where the point of spiritual awakening comes from. And it's a very rare phenomenon still, but it's coming more and more. And some of you are awakening to this very realization. Thank you very much. If you feel like learning through presence, connection, and higher frequency, if you're able to realize what is being conveyed here, you're welcome to subscribe or to become a part of Shaktipat stream and support this teaching, the spread of high vibration, knowledge, and being. Thank you very much, and many blessings and best wishes to everyone.